Kane, how helpless did it feel as a captain out there under that sort of blitz?
Oh, yeah, look, I mean, you certainly, same in the last 3 matches really, where, you've found, us as a team have found ourselves in positions of strength and perhaps ahead of the game, and although there's been some incredible counter-attacks which we've seen and really come off in big ways for the English side, you still very much hold that hope that you're a wicket or 2 away, and it's felt like that throughout the series, and there's been a lot of good, but obviously frustrating not to get the results, and I think, at times we've played worse and perhaps come away with better results, but credit to England and the way they came out and sort of put their mark on each match that they played, and moments that really mattered, and they were small moments that I think swung the course of the matches.
It seemed a tight series at times, yet England seemed to consistently win the key moments. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, look, they certainly came out and played with freedom and looked to counter-attack perhaps rather than try and fight their way out of a position where they were struggling, and it really came off, and they do have the quality very much so in their side to do that, and clearly made a choice to commit to that style of play that really was beneficial to them in getting their results in this series. And for us, it's regrouping and looking at some of those small margins really where we can either look to perhaps break partnerships or do things a little bit differently when those types of situations arise. But yeah, frustrating obviously to come here, compete, get ahead of the game in all 3 matches and not come away with the results. So definitely some things to look at moving forward.
Are you tempted to adopt the what's been termed the Bears ball philosophy?
Look, I think for them as a team, they came out and they've always had quality throughout their side, no matter what, and really they've come out and adopted an approach that they feel comfortable with and have felt comfortable with immediately. And we've seen that throughout this series, and so a lot of credit, I think, goes to the way that the English team played. For us, looking at our performances, it's ultimately it's trying to get the best out of your side, and we saw, like I say, a lot of good, but perhaps not quite enough to get across the line against a strong English team. So there are moments where you do look to counter attack. I think this game in particular where we had England 50 for 6, still sort of 250 behind or something like that, or more actually, and to then see the game swing so quickly, in a matter of 2 sessions, and it was hard to stop. And someone like Johnny who can play like that, and we've seen him do it in white ball cricket for a long time, and clearly adopted a similar approach. And the red ball in this series has been huge for them, and certainly getting out of those situations in a big way.
Can you explain the decision to play Michael Bracewell ahead of AJ Patel? Because it seemed like a part-time, relatively inexperienced, at least, spinner for a specialist.
Yeah, for us it was looking at the surface, and certainly historically as well, the seam bowling has played a big part. And I think we still saw that it did, and it was offering to the seamers even coming here on day 5. But obviously as we saw the surface deteriorate as much as it did even after a couple of days, the spin became as threatening, if not more. So it was one of those things, a decision that we made, and for the balance of the side. But obviously in hindsight, and Ajaz is obviously our number 1 spinner, that you do look at that surface and you look at it on day 5 and do see the value of that. So one of those things, you make a decision at the time, you commit to it, knowing that we have a real strength in our seam bowling attack, and that's sort of the line of thinking there.
You've seen a lot of Johnny in white ball cricket, and for a lot of time he has played slightly differently. You mentioned there that you thought he basically brought his white ball method over to this series. That isn't usually possible. What do you reckon?
You wouldn't think so, eh? It's not meant to be that possible, but it certainly was. Look, and I think the courage to do it as well, it's slightly against the grain of what we've seen in Test cricket, although it's not against the grain of what we've seen with Baz in Test cricket, that's for sure. He certainly went out and played in a similar fashion, look to try and change momentum of matches. And obviously there's been some encouragement perhaps to do that, and clearly that sits very comfortably with someone like Johnny, who's one of the best white ball players in the world, and is looking to play in a similar way with red ball cricket, which is obviously great signs for the English team.
Nice one, Matt.
Just big picture with your side, obviously results have tailed off a bit since the final last year. What's your diagnosis as to why, and what you changed in sort of 6 or 7 months before the next test?
Yeah, there's a long gap before the next one, and obviously quite different conditions as well. And in professional sport, it's very competitive, and you win and you lose. And so for us, it is frustrating that we haven't quite had some of the results go away, but we do want to keep putting our focus and energy into the cricket and the quality of the cricket, and still understand that we're not that far away. I think if we look at the game closely, each match closely, as I mentioned earlier, that there were moments and large moments throughout it where we were either right in the match or even ahead of the game, but to not perhaps win those moments and take the game further into stronger winning positions is something that we definitely want to be doing, and was something that we were doing really well a year ago, but the margins are small, so it's not overreacting, and making sure that we're aware of those things and keep looking to move forward as a side.
Thanks very much, guys.